Shabbat Shalom. Let's sing together. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. Here we are together again. You can see my orchid has opened more blossoms. So let's light the candles. We'll stop and do this action with our hands that brings to mind we're in a different place coming in here, coming into Shabbat. Taking the light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shalom Alechem Malachei Hasharet Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei Hamalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Boachem l'shalom Malachei Hashalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei Hamalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Barchuni l'shalom Malachei Hashalom Malachei Elyon Lai 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 Mi Melech Malachei Hamalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Tzedchem l'shalom Malachei Hashalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei Hamalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu. So we ask for peace. So many of our prayers are asking for peace. And when we come summing up our entire lives, we hope that we're in a place of peace. Well, it's good to think about, what does peace mean? And how does one get there? So we're going to invite in the bride of Shabbat. Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishme'anu el hamyuchad Adonai echad U'shemo echad L'shem tiferet v'litchila Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi
לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במקשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We'll rise in our minds and our hearts and face the door and welcome in the bride.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
The face of Shabbat, let's go out to meet her and invite her to come inside. Because rouse yourself. Awake, arise, for your light has come. Arise, awake, send forth a song. The glory of God through you is revealed. Think about that. The glory of the human being. Quite an incredible creation revealed through you. So I'm gonna, we usually do the righteous will flourish like palms. I'm gonna read you a different verse from that same psalm, Psalm 92. It's a psalm for the Sabbath. And these are the words. It is good to praise you, Adonai, and to sing to you, O exalted one. In the morning, we recount your loving kindness, and in the evening, your faithful presence at night. So we're grateful that we wake up for another day. And we acknowledge and we're grateful for God's protective presence when we sleep and when we're so vulnerable. And now we can sing, the righteous shall flourish like palms.
Tzadikatam ahari frach, ke'eres bavanon yizgei shetulim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvon Seva Teshenim V'Ra'ananim Iyu Lecha
We are coming to the end of the book of Numbers. And I have to get my notes. Hang on. Here they are. It's the fourth of the 5 books of Moses, the 5 books of Torah. We have one more book after this, and then it will be time for high holidays. We have one more book, Deuteronomy. But in this book, we're coming to the end, and in portion Masei, which is part of our double portion this week, Mattot and Masei, there's a long list of all the travels, all the places where the Israelites traveled. Now I'm going to interrupt the Torah story to tell you a very short personal story for a moment. When I was sick with pneumonia about 5 years ago, a friend of mine from across the country was traveling to California. She had a stopover and she came to visit me. And it was a very healing visit to have this dear friend near. And I was talking with her and I said, I can't remember that thing, exactly when it happened. And she said, well, you know, by now in our lives, so much has happened. It's easy to forget things or to get things out of order. So much has happened. Well, that's where we're at in the Torah. So much has happened, the 40 years of wandering in the desert. And whereas when we take a trip, we might make a slideshow and have pictures of the events that remind us of what happened there, what the Israelites had were words and names of places. So I want to read to you a couple of the place names. There's Sukkot, which of course means a place with little shade booths, so it must have been a very hot, deserty place. There was a place called Mara, bitter waters, where remember the story that there was no water to drink, and Moses hit the rock and fresh water came out. There's a place called Kibrot HaTa'ava. This is a dark name. It means the graveyard of lust. It was when the people wanted meat. They were lusting for meat. And God sent them so much meat that they got sick and many of them died. So you can see, I've got to leave you with a better place name. So this last one's a nice one. It's Rimon Peretz, the sprouting of seeds from the pomegranate. So you know how when they get so ripe, sometimes they split open and some of the seeds pop out. So that's the bursting forth of the pomegranates. So that must have been a very lovely place. So within the names of these places are the stories of what happened there. And this is the stories of their wandering in the desert and the stories of the people's lives. And when we get to a certain age, and we're more looking back on our lives rather than looking forward with ambition, we're looking back on what we've done and where we've come. It's a wonderful thing to tell the stories of the so many things that have happened. The stories of joy and the stories of reaching our goals, And there's also stories of sadness and loss and stories of mistakes, just like the Israelites in the desert. And those are the most important gift we have to the people who come after us, is the stories we can tell that are rich with wisdom and with laughter sometimes, and even stories about how we've been able to handle hardship and grief. These are the treasures that we have to share with the people who come after us, with our children, our students, our proteges, our friends. And it's so fitting that as we come to the end of this book of Numbers, that we get this slideshow, so to speak, of all the named places where the Israelites camped. And we remember the stories by the place names. And I want to encourage you to, if you can, write down some of the stories, but at least to tell them to people, because they're precious. They're very precious. They're your lives that you've lived. Let's close with our song, another song of peace. And that's what I'm hoping for, is peacefulness at this time of life. As we turn and look back on our lives, we want to bring forth the peacefulness from it.
Osei shalom bimromav, uya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amin. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amin.
Let's share some of our fullness with people in need of healing in spirit or mind or body. It's important to say their names, or at least to remember their images. I want to include Brian Ellis and Kevin Eisenberg and Rob Ryder and Steve Tobias. What are your names that you're remembering? The names of people that you're remembering. And we'll sing our blessing.
Mi sheberach avotenu, mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu, mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
it's important to mention the names and remember those who told their stories to us. And we've become part of their continuing story. So mention the names of people who have a yard site, or maybe there's been a recent death in your circle. Let's offer their names. And we'll say Kaddish for them. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran b'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min Shamaya, v'chaim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru. Amen. We'll celebrate Shabbat with a special libation. We'll lift up our cups. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho be'ahava v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'masei v'reshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta Ve'otanu kidashta im kol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat. L'chaim, l'chaim. You know, right there in that blessing, it says that Shabbat is the remembrance of creation and the remembrance of the going out from Egypt, which is our story. Or when we do Passover, we're retelling the story to keep it alive. Stories are very, very, very important. Okay. Take a bit of bread. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. So I think maybe peacefulness has to do with being at peace with our story, that our lives have been good enough. Shall we say that? Good enough, all right? That we've made our little bit of a mark on the world in a good way. That's what we wish for.
Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shabbat, Shabbat shalom.
A Shabbos of peace. Notice when you feel peaceful. That's a great thing to do. Shabbat shalom, my friends. And I think we have a date for next Friday. I'll see you then. Shabbat shalom.